All right, Lou, let's take a look at your freestyle first because, I'm a freestyle guy. So, very nice looking streamline, by the way. Just looking at your kick a little bit, I'm gonna move myself out of the way here. You can see how your right foot there is breaching the surface. Probably want to avoid, and you can kind of see at about this point is when you should actually stop your dolphin kick. Now you should be flutter kicking a little bit before when you started. It's just a little late, right? So it should be dolphin, dolphin, flutter now, right? So you should be getting like somewhere around like maybe 4 kicks in as you break the surface. So just a little comment on your breakout. Love your streamline though. It's hard to tell. Oh, okay. So I know based off of that first stroke now. Just a little bit of a pet peeve, something that's really important to keep in mind, especially doing something in pool, making sure you take the very first stroke with the arm that's towards the bottom of the pool. And I was saying it's hard to tell which arm is towards the bottom of the pool because you look pretty much flat. So when we push off of a wall, whether it's a flip or a dive, it doesn't matter. You should be rotated slightly to one side, and whichever side's closest to the bottom, take that first stroke so it starts the rotation to the opposite side a little bit more easily. Now, your right arm, this whole video, is skirting by actual work. You can kind of already see how your catch flattens out here, and it almost looks like you're about to elbow someone behind you. All right, it doesn't look like your right arm is doing very much grabbing of the water, which isn't my favorite thing to say, but I think I know you know what I mean by that. It's like there's an emphasis to just pull your elbow through the water versus letting your forearm be vertical and have that pull through the water. As we break this down, see how your breath is actually falling into the water. You didn't turn your head back into the water there. So you should be turning your head back in at this point so that you don't have this big drop down once you bring your arm to this point. Now, part of that big drop down, this might be a little confusing, I'll do my best to explain it, is you have both arms on the front of your body there. And so because because your right arm is above the water and also in front of you, and your left arm is in front of you, that's a lot of weight. And so it actually makes you sink downward. So when I'm asking someone to swim with a straighter arm recovery and that arm is going out in front of them, it is really important that that lead arm is at their chest line so that that fall doesn't really happen. It's just weight distribution, really. So I would say you can actually see the moment where your body starts falling forward. So that means this would be the latest moment that your left arm should be forward. At this point, you should be starting to set a catch in the left arm so that as your right arm passes the right shoulder blade, or the right shoulder rather, you won't have that fall forward moment. And then see how you kind of like have to pop back up. So you're kind of swimming in an up and down, not just straight forward. And our goal really should try to be to swim right on top of the surface 100% of the time. So if there's a chance that you're going to fall in, we want to make sure we eliminate that. And you can see when it's your right arm forward versus your left arm recovering, how the timing is better and you don't fall down as much. And you can see as soon as you take that right arm up, you're already forcing yourself downward in order to get your right arm up. All right, so we want to make sure that right arm is doing a little bit more of a push back, and I do think it would be really, really beneficial for that right arm to try to feather outward. So you can kind of see your arm is stuck underneath you at this point. So let it go away from you to exit the water, not straight up to exit the water. You see how your wrist on your right arm is bent there, no matter who you are, if you do that motion with a wrist, you will always put an unnecessary amount of pressure on your shoulder joint. All right, it's just part of the mechanics of our body. When that wrist does that, this gets used. Well, if I straighten my wrist out, now I can use my back just by simply straightening my wrist out. So I'm not sure if this wrist position is something that you're trying to do because you're trying to use your palm to push water. I don't know if it's just you're just simply pulling your elbow up, and the elbow being pulled up causes tension through your forearm, and then causes that, and then causes some issue in your shoulder. But we need to make sure that this isn't happening anymore, because you will end up hurting that shoulder, and there's no reason to. Now, in addition to that, on this right side, you can see how your right hip is very flat in this moment. It is not anywhere close to the amount of rotation that your right shoulder is at. So as we watch how your right arm exits, see how your shoulder rotated more or greater than your actual hip, because it was almost like you were rushing to get that right arm out of the water and your hip couldn't keep up. And so then you actually end up pretty flat, putting a tremendous amount of pressure on that right shoulder. Legs start to splay because you're in a contorted position through the middle of your spine. It's nice to see how that left arm wasn't out in front when that right arm came forward, and so you didn't sink as much. Much better timing there. So I want to be able to draw a line. I could kind of do it right now. I can draw a line. I can't really see where your other hand is, but we could assume it's about there. I should be able to draw that line more like over your chest, right? Your hand should be passing by your chest line, not at your, we're going to say like the top of your head line. All right, does that make sense to say the top of your head line? We'll see. All right. It looks like a well-timed breath. I thought it looks like you've got the right timing for it. I don't know if you need to have your head so far away from the right arm. See how there's a gap there? Ideally, if you can, shore up that gap. Don't let water get pocketed up in there. You can kind of see this cross-body connection that you have going on. How your left leg is going wide, and I would say your right arm is going wide. All right. So making sure you're keeping your upper thighs glued together, making sure that they don't separate. So this is a disconnect from the rest of your body. And then what I mean by that is see how your left arm just hit the surface of the water, but you haven't rotated your body yet. And now you've rotated. So you just rotated slightly late. Your arm should have been here. Your left arm should be here in the air. And I should be able to see your left hip rotate down to bring that arm in. So just a little bit late of rotation. It's the equivalent of an overextension in a way, right? You've reached further than you should have because your body didn't rotate it in. That's it. You can see how that right arm does not like to use these muscles back here. You start to, and if you could just push away at that last little bit, we would be off to the races. You see how like that priority seems to be get my elbow out versus press my hand away and get my hand out of the water. You could also see that you're using your right leg to kind of help give leverage to your right arm to come out of the water. See how your right leg presses down to help get your right arm out? It's really a patience thing, right? It's almost like you're rushing that right stroke for some reason. There's probably a multitude of reasons why. It could be just as simple as it feels different than your left side, and so you try to make it similar feeling to your left side, and you really shouldn't. You might want to think about that right arm taking longer to get through the water and the recovery compared to your left side. Let the left side move fast. Let's see what happens when you intentionally try to get your right arm to move slower because you're making it travel through denser water and a longer range of motion. See how that changes your stroke. It probably is going to benefit you to find that, because it's going to be a truer stroke, a fuller stroke. But we don't want to use our legs to get our arms out of the water. All right? Use our rotation to get our arms out of the water, and use your shoulder blade to get your arm out of the water. I say that like not everyone does this. Pretty much everyone does this. It's just a matter of understanding it so we can eliminate it. But you can see that you're very consistently doing it. Every time that right arm comes out, you press that right leg down. So, how much of your kick is being used to help your right arm exit, and how much of your kick is being used to just keep your legs out of the way? It seems like every time you take a right stroke, you're kicking in a way to help your right arm come out. So the goal is going to be, how do we get your right arm out without having to kick down such a big kick? Now, you're on your side. Beautiful. Love it. See how you kind of dolphin kick, flutter, 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 flutter. You only got like 2 flutter kicks in before you broke out. Should be dolphin, dolphin, flutter, 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 flutter. Now you're out, right? So get more flutter kicks in before you break out of the water. You need that additional momentum, and I want you to always feel like the Red October just shooting out of the surface. Nice old reference. So now we can kind of see your right arm is doing what I would call like a rotational motion to come forward. Just doing this versus just shrugging that arm forward, not letting the humerus, right, not letting your upper arm rotate around in the socket. It stays in the same direction on the same plane, basically. Left arm's a little bit better at it. It looks like you're trying to enter the water fingertips first, and you can kind of see how you're entering the water looking like your arm is a garden hoe. There is technically nothing wrong with that, by the way. That should be fine. The only issue I have with this motion is your elbow is getting rotated downward. So your arm probably just needs to stop during the recovery, right about there. And as your left hip rotates down, that left arm would be entering. So if you want to have an elbow straighter at this point, that's fine. Or if you want to keep it bent like that, you're just going to enter in a little bit shorter. That's also fine. See how you're using your left leg to help your left arm come out of the water now? Oh, look, we got a nice flutter kick going finally. And then you used your leg to help your arm get out of the water again. So we want to start to break this sensation apart where we don't need to use your legs to help your arms. Your legs, I love saying this, but your legs are there to help themselves. So it does take more mental focus to fix that versus drill work. There is some drill work that we're going to do to fix it, but it's mostly kind of just backing off the effort of your kick in that moment when your arm is trying to exit, so that we're not trying to just force arms through the water. Okay, so that's your freestyle. I'm going to send you 2, maybe 3 drills to help out with your freestyle corrections. But what we're really looking for to correct is eliminating your kick to helping your arms exit the water, making sure that your right arm doesn't pull out of the water prematurely, elbow first, make sure we finish that right stroke and maybe even add a feather to the right stroke. I want to also make sure that your left arm starts setting the catch a little bit sooner so your right arm doesn't catch up to the left arm, so you don't have that falling or sinking moment during your right arm recovery. Those are the bigger issues, or the more like obvious issues right now. And so that's where I want to kind of think about correcting first. So I'll send you some drills and we'll get to work.